It's here. Oh, this is the day. This is my Toyota Supra. I'm gonna repeat that again because I've always wanted to say that. This is my Toyota Supra, and with almost 200,000 miles on it, it's one of the highest mileage examples on the market today. But more importantly, this one is the cheapest one in the country. So I know a lot of people are wondering how I keep on finding cheap cars and how I find the cheapest cars in the country. Well, my secret is not exactly a secret. I use a site called Autotempest.com, and what it is a search engine for every major classified site on the internet. Let's say I want to buy the country's cheapest Supra. I just go on Autotempest, search for Toyota Supra, and bam, I have hundreds of listings across the entire country. They pull in listings from a bunch of sites like eBay and Cars.com, plus you can compare results with AutoTrader, Car Gurus, and even all of Craigslist. That's right, they help you search for more than just a 200-mile distance that Craigslist allows. Basically, it's all the sites you'd want to check in one place. Even if you're not buying anything, you can always window shop. That's what I do all the time. But if you are buying a car, then this is basically like cheating. So check it out in the link below. Now, when I say the cheapest in the country, there is a little bit of a framework surrounding that. Now, I know that there are a lot of basket case Supras around the country, salvage title, flood damage, cars that have been in wrecks. This is the cheapest running and clean titled and non-salvage Supra in the country, with the addition of this. This is a hardtop roof. Now, on most cars it wouldn't be a big deal, but on this car, on the Mark IV 93 to 98 Supra, this was the rarest option you could get. Most of the Supras available were made with Trd roofs, and the Trd roof is the one that Paul Walker just basically punched out of existence in the first Fast and the Furious. But this one is so desirable just because with Targa Supras, when you take the Targa roof off, the structural rigidity is more like a wet noodle than a taut sports car. But this is very rigid. It also has more headroom, and it's about 80 pounds lighter than the Targa option. So this is the enthusiast model, everybody. It was so rare, in fact, that they only made 418 of these 95 SE models with a hardtop. But what does that mean for price? Now, Supras have been on a upward trajectory for many, many years. I remember 10 years ago telling one of my friends that he overpaid for a 93 twin-turbo 6-speed Supra, and he paid $17,000 for it. Yeah, I feel like a complete idiot. Now Supras with twin turbo and 6-speed can fetch up to 60, 70, 80 grand in auction, and the ones with super low mileage, they're up near 100 grand, so that's kind of insane. But I'm just gonna go out and say it. This almost 200,000 mile, 20-something-year-old Toyota cost me $23,000. So the elephant in the room is whether this has the 320 horsepower 2JZ GTE beast of an engine, or whether it has the regular naturally aspirated version that Jesse was oddly so surprised to see in the first Fast and Furious.
2JZ engine, no shit.
Unfortunately, it's the latter. This is the 222 horsepower naturally aspirated 2JZ GE engine, and instead of making a rowdy sports car-like sound, the exhaust sounds more like a grocery getter. To add insult to injury, this thing comes equipped with a 2000s era subwoofer box and some really heavy 19-inch wheels. So realistically, the only thing this car is decimating is its own performance. Hey, what's the retail on one of those?
More than you can afford, pal. Hoopty.
So if this car basically has less power than your grandpa's Toyota Camry and has more miles on it than a disgruntled cab driver's Crown Vic, what's the point? Why do people pay so much money for this car? Well, step inside and find out. Just getting into this car is an event because it is so low to the ground. If I looked at something like my Lexus SC, which shared a platform with this car, that was basically like sitting in a minivan. You were so high compared to what you have here. The entire driver's compartment is just like a cockpit, and cockpit is exactly the word I want to use. This car is extremely driver focused. Everything is tilted very much towards the driver. I have my window switches, the radio controls, the AC controls. The only thing the passenger can do is basically sit there and look pretty. In addition, there are countless touches all around the car to prove that Toyota really cared about the small details. Let's take, for example, this AC vent. So instead of a regular car's AC vent where you basically just have the bacon and email and maybe some flat vents and that's about it, they designed this little thing with cogs and like this windmill thing and some adjustable vanes. It just proved that Toyota was on top of their game when they made this car, that they spared no expense. Well, I'm sure they spared some expense, but on stuff like this, the driver experience, it really is top notch. You also had things like automatic climate control, and this was standard in '93. I mean, cars didn't have this for years and years afterwards, but they had it in the Supra, and this is just one of the things that make the Supra so great. I mean, take a look at these gauges. These gauges are very simple. It's just a huge RPM tachometer, then there's a huge speedometer, and then you have your fuel gauge and your coolant temperature gauge. So while any bone stock Supra would have everything that I just talked about, my car has a few things that make it a little bit more desirable, at least to me. Likely the first thing you'll notice when looking at this car is this huge 3-piece TRD wing. Now, it is bigger than the stock wing by a fair margin. The stock wing kind of just goes over like this, but this is a lot more aggressive, and I love it. It gives it that extra flair that I've been looking for, and honestly, if my car came with a stock wing or no wing at all, I would have probably ended up putting this wing on there because it looks so good. The car also comes with taillights and headlights from a '98 model. Those of you who know Supras know that these are the most desirable ones, just because they look newer, they give the car a new lease on life, and they're also a little bit more upscale in my mind. But perhaps the most desirable mod on this car are these brakes. Now, this car, as an NA, as a naturally aspirated version, had some pretty anemic brakes. It had 2 piston calipers in the front and 1 piston calipers in the rear. This is an upgrade to the twin turbo setup. These are 4 piston calipers and 2 piston calipers in the back. And the rotors are also bigger, and these are drilled and slotted for that extra Fast and Furious look. This is actually a pretty pricey upgrade, and one that I would have likely done had I got a car that was completely bone stock through and through, but this is basically, this is just gravy for me. To me, this car is a perfect starting point. It has a little bit of flair with this body kit, and it actually is wrapped. This isn't the stock color. It's wrapped in a satin white pearl. I sort of dig it. I'm not too into the red on the back and the red on the bottom, but that we can change later. It has just that little bit of flair with the wheels and the '98 front and rear and that TRD spoiler, but mechanically it's bone stock, and that's exactly what I want. I want a clean slate, a mechanical tabula rasa, and that's exactly what this car is. Now, I'm not sure what the project is going to be on this car. It is going to be a project, but those of you who think I have too much on my plate already, I sort of agree with you. So I'm just going to make a few videos about this car as it is, what it's like living with a non-turbo 5-speed Supra, and I think those are going to be kind of fun. Ultimately, I really want to make this into something special, maybe something along the lines of its Fast and Furious roots, and perhaps making it a 10-second car on a budget, but who knows. I am open to suggestions. You guys can let me know in the comments. So guys, that is it. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like my car, because I certainly do. It's a dream car of mine, and it has been for quite some time. So if you want to stay up to date with this car, then consider subscribing to my channel. I have more than 100,000 of you, and I am so grateful to everybody that subscribed, but we can get that number higher. So hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. That'll make you part of my notification squad. That means that you guys get first dibs on all of my videos, and you see them right when they come out. So that'll be a good thing for everybody. If you want to contact me, you want to tell me something about my car that I don't already know, or you want to ask me questions, you can reach me at @TheRealTavarish. That is Instagram and Twitter. Facebook.com/AskTavarish and AskTavarish@gmail is my email. I'm easy to find. And you can also DM me on Wheelwell. All my cars, including this one, are going to be in my Wheelwell account. so check it out there. If you'd like to support my channel, and with this car I'm gonna need a lot of support, you can buy a shirt. You can buy one of these shirts. This is my $8,900 SL shirt, or you can buy my Wrench Everyday shirt, or other designs that I'm coming up with. And all the proceeds from these shirts are gonna go to hurricane relief for the next 2 months. So that's gonna be interesting. So, I mean, technically it doesn't even help me. It helps people in need, because all I do is I basically just spend it on cars. Check that out in the link below. But until next time, this is me telling you that on cars like this that fulfill lifelong dreams, you guys need to wrench every day.